So who's been every championship club's best player since the restart? Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on it. Since football's resumed, we've had 6 games already in such a short period of time, and some people have really come back and hit the ground running. Now, I'd be interested to know from you guys, who do you think has been your club's best player since the restart? Obviously, we've got more games going on tonight, and the season's wrapping up next Wednesday. It's absolutely bonkers how fast this has flown by. But if you do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, get all your thoughts in the comments down below, and without any further ado, let's hop into this one. Starting out with Barnsley, I'm going to go for Solbauer. I think that his experience at the back has been absolutely vital for Barnsley lately. Since the restart, they kept 4 clean sheets out of the 6 games we've had so far. I also think he's elevated the games of the people around them as well. Mads Andersen, I think, is massively improved with that partnership next to him. Jack Walton at the back has really stepped up as well since the restart. Solbauer's got something about him. He's got that element of leadership. He drags others up with him. He made a massive block in that game against Wigan to keep the scoreline down in that one. Another clean sheet they got. I think he's been very good for them since the restart, and if they are to be relegated, I think they'll struggle to keep hold of him. Luton Town, I'm going to go for Elliot Lee. I've been impressed with how he's been able to work his way back into the team under Nathan Jones. Things with Graham Jones, he wasn't really anywhere near the squad, was he? But since the restart, he's ended up being quite the player for them. He obviously scored that goal against Huddersfield to wrap up the 3 points in that game. Absolutely brilliant finish. But it's his work rate and what he does off the ball which makes him such a crucial player for Luton. The game against Swansea, he looked very lively, never giving up on any loose balls in that game. I think his performances so far have shown what Luton have missed at times this season by not playing him. Hull City, Malik Wilks, I'd say is their most dangerous threat whenever I'm watching Hull at the moment going forward. 2 goals for them since the restart, including that last minute winner against Middlesbrough. Those 3 points that he secured in that one could end up being vital for Hull in the fight for championship football next season. They of course signed him on a permanent basis the other week, and although there are still elements of his game which are still quite raw, you know, his decision making sometimes isn't always the greatest. His explosivity and unpredictability really gives him an edge on some defenders. Charlton Athletic, Josh Cullen. I think that sometimes when you watch a team play, you can tell that some people are just on a wavelength above other people. I get that impression with Josh Cullen sometimes. I think he's a really intelligent player. He was absolutely fantastic against Reading at the weekend, despite them being on the wrong side of that game. He doesn't give up on anything. His tackling's brilliant. He's also got quality going forward. He assisted the winner for the game against QPR with the Pratley goal. Really quite an underrated player in the championship this season, I'd say, and since the restart, he's been really good for me. Huddersfield, Trevor Chalobah. I don't think that every Huddersfield player has covered themselves in glory since the restart, but Chalobah's someone who I think has been really quite consistent for them, and it's going to be unfortunate. I don't think Huddersfield will go down, but it would be unfortunate if he was to get relegated 2 years in a row from the championship. Obviously, last season out on loan at Ipswich, this time at Huddersfield, because I don't think he could have done much more. Since the restart as well, he's transitioned into a right back when they've needed to fill that void, and he's done really well in that role. I think he's a good player on the ball, and there's another one quite similar to Josh Cullen, fairly young, who I think will go on to do really well. Middlesbrough, Ashley Fletcher. Considering Borough's lack of quality so far this season going forward, Ashley Fletcher's actually going to end the season with a fairly decent goal return with 10 goals and 6 assists so far. In the 2 games that Middlesbrough have won since the restart, Ashley Fletcher has been man of the match in both of those. He's been a vital figure, scoring in each of them. In that game against Stoke and in the game against Millwall, got a goal from the penalty spot and an assist as well. I do think that Ashley Fletcher is someone who's got something about him. Obviously, back in the day had quite a bit of potential, then he fell off a little bit, but this so far has been his best goal scoring season to date. I think if he did have that bit more quality around him, he could go on to even better things. Birmingham, I'm going to go for Jeremy Bella. Whenever I've catched Birmingham since the restart, Bella has been by far their biggest attacking threat. In the game against Hull, he was absolutely brilliant, came on at half time, grabbed 2 assists in the second half, and obviously it was a bit of a mad game that ended 3-3 in the end. But there is a stark contrast with Birmingham when they've got Bella on the pitch compared to when they don't. When they like to play on the counter-attack and on breaks, Bella's absolutely crucial to that. His pace, flair, and how he links up with others is absolutely fantastic, and it does surprise me that he's not always a regular starter, because for me at the moment for Birmingham, he'd be the first on the team sheet really. Stoke City, Sam Clucas. I think that everyone at Stoke has been a bit inconsistent since the restart really, but someone who's been crucial in both their wins has been Sam Clucas. Got 2 assists in the Barnsley match and scored that fantastic goal at the weekend against Birmingham. I think that Stoke look best when Clucas is on the ball and making things happen for them. Throughout the season as well, I think he's probably one of the few Stoke players who comes out of this with quite a bit of credit really. Got 11 goals and 3 assists from midfield, a great return considering Stoke's season. When you're looking for a bit of creativity and someone who's able to create something out of nothing, a lot of the times throughout this season and since those restart, Clucas has been the player that Stoke have looked towards. QPR, Osman Solomon Kake. After a few loan spells out, he's now looking to break through into the first team at QPR, and since the restart has been one of the few players at QPR to come out with it with a bit of credit really. We said on the last video that QPR have checked out for this season, they're already on holiday. It's not been a great few matches for QPR, has it? They've only won one since the restart, but one player who has impressed me has been Kake. He's won more tackles than anyone else in that QPR squad since the restart per 90, and in that game against Wednesday, he actually had a really good game despite being on the wrong end of that scoreline. Wigan Athletic, Cal Naismith. I had a couple of names in mind for Wigan, but I'm going to go with Naismith. I think that as the season's gone on, he's become more and more important for Wigan, and since the restart has been one of their most consistent performers. I mean, the guy's played absolutely everywhere throughout this season, has he? He's played at fullback, centre-back, he's played on the wing, wherever you need him to be, and you just know he'll put 100% into every performance. In that game against Barnsley, absolutely colossal, made a massive block to keep it at 0-0. He bagged the brace in the 3-0 win against Stoke. Overall, I'd put Naismith up there for Wigan. Sheffield Wednesday, Jacob Murphy, I think he's been one of their best players since the restart. He's got 4 goal contributions with 2 goals and 2 assists in the 6 games played. And Wednesday have been a side who's been a little bit up and down since that restart, but Murphy has been, for me, probably their most consistent performer, done really well in a wing-back role as well. Against North End, scored a fantastic solo effort. He scored at the weekend again against QPR as well. I think he's a player who Wednesday wouldn't mind getting on a permanent basis. Reading, Michael Morrison. In every clean sheet that Reading have kept so far this season, Morrison has played every minute of it. I think his leadership and importance at the back has been absolutely integral to them, and when they have kept things tight at the back, Morrison's been central to that. The game against Brentford to the side, since the restart, I think he's done really well. The game at the weekend against Charlton, absolutely massive performance from him. I don't know how Charlton didn't score in that one. He brings a calmness to this Reading side who have kept 3 clean sheets since the restart. I think he also rubs off on some of the youngsters they've got on the squad as well. Blackburn Rovers, Lewis Travis. When it comes to a real battler in the middle of the park, Lewis Travis pretty much epitomises that for Blackburn, doesn't he? He doesn't give up on any loose ball and he'll happily stick his foot in where it hurts. In the Blackburn squad, no one averages more tackles per 90 than Lewis Travis, 2.6 per game, which is way higher than anyone else in the squad. I also think the Rovers fans like him because he is a bit of a wind-up merchant, isn't he? And you just love to have that sort of player on your team. Bristol City, Jamie Patterson. I found it a little bit odd when they loaned him out to Derby at the start of the season, obviously. He's now back at Bristol City, but creatively, I've always quite rated Jamie Patterson quite highly, and when you do give him a run of games in this side, he can show you what he can do, and he's done that since the lockdown. 3 goals and an assist for Jamie Patterson since the football's been back. I tell you what, his collection of goals aren't half bad since the restart, are they? That outrageous free kick against Hull and then that absolutely smashing finish against Borough at the weekend. It is an area where Bristol City had been lacking in, you know, when Lee Johnson seemed quite reluctant to play someone like Casey Palmer. Pato gives him that bit more of an edge going forward, and when he's playing with confidence, he is one of the most exciting players in the league to watch. Derby County, Louis Sibley. I mean, it was the first game back where he bagged a hat-trick against Millwall to turn that game around. Derby picked up all 3 points, and that was when people started to think, alright, Derby, they really could be onto something here with some of the youngsters that they've got. And Sibley playing as that number 10 has been absolutely excellent. He got an assist in their win against Reading as well. When Derby came to Deepdale, he was very tidy in possession and actually gave Ben Pearson a really tough game. Obviously, there was then the game against West Brom where he was sent off for that. It was just a ridiculous decision that was thankfully rescinded in the end. But at only 18 years old, I think that everyone's excited about what's to come because from what we've seen since the lockdown, Sibley's the real deal, isn't he? Millwall, Ryan Woods. I think someone who is very tidy on the ball, and Millwall would actually do really well to get him on the permanent. We spoke about Woods at Millwall a couple of videos ago, but I think he offers good balance to this Millwall side. When he's on the ball and he's able to really dictate things from those deep positions, that's when Millwall are at their best, when Woods is on the ball a lot. He's got a load of energy, he'll buzz around the pitch and pop up in different positions. I actually think the Millwall move has been like the best thing for his career, really. Obviously, things at Stoke didn't go well, but at Millwall really seems to have his confidence back. Preston North End, I'm going to go with Brad Potts. I think that most North End fans would agree that a few weeks ago we'd have all probably said that Brad Potts, on the whole, had a pretty poor season compared to last year where he was a breath of fresh air in midfield, making those late runs from midfield, scored a couple of goals as well. It just hadn't happened for him this season. To be fair, he hadn't had much of a chance in the team, but since lockdown, it's like he's been a new player. It's like we've got the Brad Potts back from last season. He's much more composed on the ball, looks fitter as well. I think he's really looked after himself over lockdown. He came off the bench in the game against Wednesday, scored the 3rd goal in that one. Brilliant finish, and then obviously assisted the equaliser at the weekend against Forest really well. Against Derby, I thought he was our best player, and there were a few players that I could have picked for North End. Joe Rafferty, I think, has been really good since the restart. restart. Jaden Stockley, Ryan Ledston, John Story with them two have featured as well. So there's been quite a few for North End, but for me, I'd say Brad Potts has really impressed me. Swansea City, Ryan Brewster, one of the most informed strikers in the league at the moment, 4 goals since football has resumed. And if Swansea go and make it into the top 6, it's like Brewster's almost like single-handedly trying to claw them into it at this point in time. But was brilliant on the first game back against Borough, scored a brace in that game, and also scoring goals in the win against Sheffield Wednesday and Birmingham. I've said it a few times on the channel so far this season, but I really think that Brewster's got everything to go to the top. I think that in terms of attacking intelligence, movement off the ball, I think he's also got a bit of an edge about him as well. But so far this season and since the lockdown, really good, and if Swansea are going to make it, he's going to be crucial to that. Cardiff City, I'm going to go for Will Vaulks. I think that does a lot of the work that goes unnoticed. I thought it was a really good signing for Cardiff at the time. Last season for Rotherham, he was excellent, but it's taken him a while to get going at Cardiff. You know, towards the start of the season, he was in and out of the squad a little bit, and I think that as the season's gone on, he's just got better and better, and since lockdown has been one of their most consistent players for me. Offers loads of energy, and in terms of winning the ball back, scored that fantastic goal against Blackburn as well. And there are a few names that I could have picked from Cardiff because they have kept things really tight at the back. Morrison's been good, Nelson's formed a good partnership with him, but I think that Vaulks has really grown into this role at Cardiff as the season's gone on. Nottingham Forest, I'm going to go for Joe Lolly. I thought was a definite miss for their game at the weekend against North End. You could tell they were lacking something going forward, a bit of a presence on that right hand side. Joe Lolly has made that role his own in the past couple of seasons for Forest, and since the lockdown has been one of their key figures going forward with 2 goals and an assist. Scored on their game back against Sheffield Wednesday. Really nice effort in that one. A beauty against Derby from outside the box. That's a Joe Lolly speciality. Also grabbed an assist in the win against Huddersfield as well. He's a bit like the Championship's Iron Robin, isn't he? You know what he's going to do. He always wants to look to cut onto that left foot and get a shot away, but he's so hard to stop. And whenever he is out of the side, Forest feel that absence. Fulham, Harrison Reid. If you've been watching the channel for a while, then you'll know how much of a fan I am of this guy. His previous 2 loan spells, he was absolutely brilliant in the Championship, both at Norwich and at Blackburn Rovers. If Fulham managed to get him on a permanent, that would be some business, because I think he could do the business in the Premier League. Since the restart though, he has been Mr. Consistent for Fulham, as he normally is really. I saw his heat map for the game against Cardiff, and the guy's absolutely all over the pitch, isn't he? The engine he's got on him is absolutely fantastic. He pops up in all areas. Since the restart, he's got an average match rating of 7.3, wins 2.5 interceptions per game. On the ball, he's wonderful. He just makes things look so simplistic, and I think Fulham, you know, it's just every week he seems to be picking up the man of the match award, because the guy really is just next level, isn't he? Honestly, I love him. Brentford side, Ben Rama. No one has scored more goals than Ben Rama since the restart in the Championship. 7 goals as well as an assist. He's just been at a completely other level, hasn't he? A hat-trick against Wigan, a brace against Derby, a goal and an assist against Fulham. His end product is fantastic, but I don't think that stats can even do a player like Ben Rama justice. Just watching the game is just completely next level, and we all know there's been Premier League interest there, but the guy can go all the way to the top. He's just absolutely wonderful. His second goal against Derby was outrageous. He scored another worldie against Wigan, and there's no real weakness to his game. Everything going forward, he's got in absolute abundance. And this is just why I love Championship football so much, because you see these sort of like undiscovered gems just thriving, and Ben Rama over the last 2 years has been absolutely magnificent. Couple of other honourable mentions for Brentford though. Josh Da Silva has been fantastic. Christian Norgard has been absolutely colossal for them, as has Ethan Pinnock at the back. All of those deserve mentions, but Ben Rama, wow. West Brom, Mateus Pereira, another absolute magician in the Championship. He's got 6 goal contributions since football came back, with 2 goals and 4 assists. 3 man of the match awards. I'd like to know from you guys, who would you rather have in your squad, Pereira or Ben Rama? So far this season, Pereira's got 24 goal contributions, Ben Rama 25, so they really are neck and neck. But by far 2 of the most wonderfully gifted players we've seen in the Championship over the past decade, I'd say. And Pereira really does have his mojo back. I mean, he got a hat-trick of assists in that game they had against Hull, and some of the hitches that he sees in his head, like Pereira's vision is really something else. It's eye of a needle stuff where Pereira's seeing these through balls. The guy's absolutely taken the Championship by storm, and he's more than hit the ground running again since football's been back. And finally, Leeds United, Pablo Hernandez. The guy isn't even 100% fit, and he's still making an absolute mockery out of this league. Obviously, the crowning moment was that winner against Swansea. Last minute absolute scenes at full time, and that feels like, you know, a massive goal in Leeds United's season. But his impact so far when he's come off the bench, Pablo Hernandez is a special player. I think that we've all been lucky to see him over the Championship for these past few years. The game against Stoke, where Leeds absolutely dominated for the second half after Pablo was introduced, the assist and the movement for that Liam Cooper goal was outrageous. Should Leeds be promoted, Pablo Hernandez I think will be missed in the Championship. I'll certainly miss watching him. I think all the Leeds fans would agree he's probably been the best player at their club since they were last in the Premier League, and that's a testament to what a player he's been for them over the years. But guys, there you have it. There was every Championship club, and for me, who has been their best player since the restart. So do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments down below who would you select from your club. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. Obviously, we do have Championship football going on tonight. If you want to see my predictions for those, check out yesterday's video. But if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. It is always massively appreciated, and make sure to subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.